Hey guys, so today we're going to be diving in and breaking down Taylor Swift's song, "The Fate of Ophelia." So this is going to be a fun one. She's a great writer, great team, she's the top of the top. So this is going to be a great one to kind of dive into and kind of just break down. So here are some of my top takes and some of my the things that I've really taken away, some of the secrets, as you would say. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the arrangement to start off with, I always like to dive into the arrangement, the instrumentation and the vocals and the lyric theme, and then kind of like my top three takeaways that I personally took away from this song that I'm like, I like that. I'm gonna try and use some of those ideas, or I like that as an inspiration for my next songs, and I like the direction. So, if you do this constantly, I always tell my students all the time, if you do this constantly, if you're constantly analyzing the top 40 of the most famous songs, then you're going to constantly evolve. The day that we stop listening to the new music and the future music, that's the day that we're going to be getting really stuck in our rut and getting getting caught in our own doing the same thing over and over. So you always got to be open-minded. You're going to listen to other things, and you're going to really kind of tweak a little bit. So let's go ahead and dive in. The arrangement. So I noticed at the beginning, she comes up with a piano kind of thing, and it goes for about 5 measures. And then she goes to a verse, which goes for about 10 measures. Then she does a pre-chorus, which is 8 measures. Then she goes into the chorus, and that's an 8-measure chorus. And then there's a post-chorus after the chorus. This is a very common thing that gets used a lot in, maybe for the last 5 to 8 years. They've been doing a lot of this, maybe even 10 years. They've been doing a lot of post-choruses. So the end of the chorus, you go into another hooky kind of chorus kind of thing, which is really kind of cool thing. And they do a lot of that. So moving on. So we got like after that post-chorus, we got 8 measures of that. Then it drops out for a measure before it goes into the verse again. And it's the same kind of idea. The verse goes for 10 measures. Pre-chorus for 8 measures, and then the chorus 8 measures, and then post-chorus is another 8 measures. Then she jumps into the bridge. She kind of does a down bridge. So it's kind of like a down chorus, but it's more of a down bridge. Where when I say down, what I usually mean by that is it's not big. The drums drop out. Everything, all the dynamics really just drop down. So she does that for this bridge, and that's what I always say when you're writing your songs. Always have complementing parts or contrast parts. So if you're go 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 go, in the chorus or in the main most of the song, then do something different. But if it's really kind of quiet in the song, when you get to the bridge, go big. So kind of always having that contrast, which is really really cool. So then she goes out of the bridge, she goes into the chorus, and then she does a post-chorus, and then a little tag or a little outro kind of thing. She kind of ends on the vocals, and that's kind of a cool different little thing, kind of summarizing the whole sound up. So that's kind of a cool thing. So keep that in mind when you're doing your arrangements. If you want to sound something similar like this, if you want to write current, and if you want to keep going current, So that's what this song really does. Now let's dive into the instrumentation. Now, this is fun. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, artist, so I do all this kind of stuff. I produce music, I mix and master. So I listen to so many elements, and it takes me many, many times to go through the song to pull out all these elements. And but I love it. It's about constantly growing. It's about hearing the craft and hearing all of the elements that you hear. And so let's dive into the instrumentation. The drums are kind of bit crushed and tight. There's not much reverb, if any reverb. That's one thing I noticed, that the drums are kind of, they're not organic, but they're definitely not EDM. So over on this side of the spectrum, you've got EDM, where it's not organic at all. There's not a real drum. It's like all sampled. It's all electronic. They're all like computed kind of, very digital kind of sounding 808s and all that kind of stuff. It might have originally been from an original kit or original drum hit, but they've really processed it. It does not sound organic, all the way to super clean, super organic. So this one's right in the middle, and pop does this a lot. It kind of puts a bit of a distortion or a little bit of a bit crushing, or just kind of puts a bit of fuzz on it and makes it, just processes it a little bit more. And it makes it sound really dry and really tight. So that's one of the things I noticed with these drums. The bass, it's very synthy kind of bass, and it's not a real kind of, if it was a real bass, they've gone ahead and made it really processed, which really leans towards that more synthy kind of sound. But again, not a dancey kind of synth. As I'm saying it, I wasn't there in the studio. You'd have to watch a review, or you'd have to watch an interview with the guys who recorded it. But it could have very well could have been a guy come in and recorded it live, plugged his bass in or her bass in, and then they processed it and made it really kind of synthy. Could be a combination of both. So another thing I picked out, it was the piano was kind of soft and it was kind of noisy. It wasn't a clear piano. It was kind of like had a little bit of noise to it. So when you hear the intro, the piano part and then also in the bridge, they use that same piano part and it goes back to that piano. It's kind of a noisy. It's kind of a soft, more kind of a felt kind of just a softer sounding piano. So that'd be a cool piano to kind of find and chase up that one. So that's really cool. I enjoy that. And so then moving on. So I'm looking at my notes here. The vocal like synth under the pre. So when they get to the pre-chorus, the first pre-chorus, you'll hear, if you listen really closely, you might need headphones, but you can kind of hear this like ooh kind of thing underneath. It sounds very vocally, but I don't think it is. I think it's some sort of synth. And so you can kind of find a synth that's very vocally. It sounds very much like a ooh, or if you're a singer, put down an ooh and process it. And so it just sounds like a synth. That'd be another way to kind of approach it. So also I noticed something that stuck out to me was the claps during the claps come in on the chorus, but then they also come in halfway through the pre-chorus, the second pre-chorus. So you got your first pre-chorus, the claps don't come in there, they just come in on the chorus. But then you go through the verse, then you go through half of the pre-chorus, and the second half of the pre-chorus has the claps, which is kind of cool, and then it goes into the chorus with those claps. Claps really they're really nice to put in your choruses. They just give it that big feel, and it feels like live. It feels like a concert. Everyone's clapping in a concert. Everybody's so it gives it more of that human element. It's almost like a vocal kind of thing, because it's a human kind of thing. It's a human, just like the vocals is a human, so it adds a human element to it, which is very cool to add. Here's a little Easter egg for you. See if you can find the hey at 104 and let me know if you can hear it. Go ahead and put it in the chat that you found it. There's a little hey way back. It's a vocal and it's kind of cool. So then the second verse, there's a pad. It's kind of a moving pad. It's kind of it reminds me of like not a sci-fi, but kind of an eerie this song. We're going to get into the theme and some of the lyrics, but it's kind of based off like a Macbeth Hamlet kind of the old story, and it's so it kind of has that vintage. So there's a pad in there that really kind of supports that, which I thought was kind of a cool thing based off the song. You want to do everything you possibly can to support that song. So that's what that is. All right, so keep moving over here. We got music stops halfway through the second verse. So after the first the post-chorus, it drops out. There's a whole measure that kind of just drops out, and there's like a reverb tail kind of thing. Then it gets into the verse. But then halfway through the verse, it drops out again, which I thought was a kind of cool thing. I haven't heard that. I haven't noticed that. And I was like, I like that. I think I might use a dropout in one of my next songs where it kind of drops out. And then we talked about before, the claps go during the second half of the pre-chorus. And then one thing I noticed too is the length of the song on her album is 3:46. It's a tad longer than a lot of the songs that for me, I feel like it's a little bit on that longer side. She might have a radio edit where it's a bit shorter. But that's a tad on the longer side, 3's around where I kind of try and wrap up. Maybe it's 3:10, maybe it's 3:20, 30. But hers was a little tad longer. Getting up to 4 is quite up there. But a lot of her songs kind of, they got a lot in them. There's a lot to it. And so that's something to keep in mind. All right, so let's move over now to the vocals. Now, one thing I noticed with the vocals is there was a reverb on it right from the beginning, but it was very distant. It was very, it was a long reverb, like meaning it felt like there was a bigger room, but it was buried down. It was very distant. And one little technique to do that is you send your reverb. This is for all the mixers out there, all the technical producers. But you can send your track, send a little bit of the vocal to to a bus that has the reverb, and find a long tail reverb. But I thought that was really kind of cool, and lots of echoes. She did a lot of this, which kind of really stood out to me. And I'll tell you some of my takeaways at my top 3 takeaways. But it was kind of like there was a lot of chants. There was a lot of stereo echoes and that kind of thing. Lots of layering on the choruses and the pre-chorus. When she came in, when she wanted to go to that next level, she would layer. There'd be quite a few voices all singing in unison, but underneath, and you can hear it. It just thickens it out, and they might have even panned it around a little bit to the sides, a little bit, just to make, not wide, but just make it just that little bit bigger. Like maybe you're talking 3 on each side, something like that. So they might have panned it a little bit and to give it that kind of just a thicker kind of sound as it goes to that next level. But I thought it was amazing how she did lots of these chants and lots of these echoes. I thought there was a lot, and she used the stereo field a lot. So she would sing the chorus kind of in the center, but then in the post chorus they would be stereoed out to the side. So it was kind of like lots of backwards and forth just to keep it interesting and to keep it moving, which is I thought it was quite busy, and I thought it was kind of a cool thing to kind of do. So let's move over now to the lyrics and the theme. So this song, it's a love song about how somebody has saved the writer from despair or from a melancholy life, and that's the story, I believe, of Ophelia in Hamlet's story. So I'll have to refresh on that. But if you put in the comments if you've read those, if you're a big fan of those, and let me know. But one of she does lots of descriptive lyrics. It's a whole story. Taylor Swift's a great writer. She writes a lot of stories, and we all love stories. We all go to the movies. We all watch lots of TV. We love a story, and so she's really put this in a cool story. And one of the things I thought was really cool, and we're kind of diving into the takeaways, but I'll tell you that one in a minute. Number 3 of what I think was really cool with what she did with the lyrics. But the title is at the end of the chorus. That's one thing you'll find. It's at the end of the chorus. At the end of the post-chorus, she says blah 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 blah. Then she says the title of the song. Which when you're putting your title in, take notice of that when you're writing your song for that kind of thing. All right, so now let's go to my top takeaways. So number 1 is I love all the extra vocals. She's got lots of chants, lots of layers. I could just imagine stacks and stacks and stacks of vocals, layering, some doing stereo. So there's a lot of vocal stuff happening here. And so try some of this. There's lots of echoes. Like she might say a word, and the echoes might be like da-na. They say it as well, and they kind of stereo it. And I thought that was very different. So do lots and lots of vocals on if you want your song to sound like this, or you want to find out some of these secrets. Do lots of vocals, lots of chants, and lots of echoes. I love the melodies. The repetition is very catchy and very hooky. In the chorus, pretty much the chorus you can divide into 2, and she does the same thing, pretty much the same thing. So keep that in mind. That's 4 measures of the same. You do whatever you do, just repeat that on the second half of that chorus to keep that repetition. Repetition that's how you keep it hooky. That's how you get people in and people singing the song before they've even listened to it. By the second chorus or the third chorus, they're singing along. That's what you want. You want it to feel catchy and memorable, and that's how you do it with the repetition. And the third one, which we just touched on a little bit earlier, is I love the idea of the song and the reference relating to Ophelia and being saved. So it's a great kind of story or a great kind of theme. One little thing I will say, I've done a lot and I live a lot in the sync world, and sync is for if you want to get your song on TV or on a film or a movie, then I do a lot of that, and that's kind of the world I've done a lot. I've done lots and lots of placements and that kind of thing. And that's one thing that the big difference that you'll find with a song like this about getting something placed is there's too much story. There's this song here, if you read the lyrics, it almost is a movie. It's a whole story here. But when you're trying to get your music on film and TV, you've got to support the story that's coming in by the director and the writers and whatever it is. You know, they have the story. You need to support that. So you can't be as descriptive. So that's just another little thing, another little tidbit to kind of keep in mind. But hopefully you've got a lot out of this. Again, these are my top little takeaways. These are the secrets of Taylor Swift's song, The Fate of Ophelia, and have a listen to it. Go over and see if you can find some of those little Easter eggs and see if you can hear some of those kind of things and have fun with that. But again, you know, if you like this and this has been helpful for you, then go ahead and like and subscribe, because that really helps this video float to the top, and then hopefully other people might watch as well. It really helps out the channel, that's for sure. And then also if you want to be connected with me, or if you want to find out more about, like, you know, free workshops that I do and other things that I offer, then definitely head over to my website, which is stevecollum.com, and get on my email list, and that's when you'll find out all the stuff that I'm currently doing, and maybe you have a song that'd be perfect for film and TV, or maybe you got a song that we could even review here, and so that could be a cool thing. Get on my email list and email me, and we can go from there. So all the best, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.